Information to help you run your business better and improve your marketing campaigns. My name is Hank Hoffmeyer, and thank you for joining me on Hank's Marketing and Business Tips. Welcome to episode 224 of the HMBT podcast. Today, I'm joined by Nathan Hirsch. He actually joined me a while back on episode 133, so he's a repeat guest. I'm really excited to talk to Nathan today because I think he has a lot of insights into what's going on with our economy, hiring, and just getting work done. Nathan is an entrepreneur and expert in remote hiring and e-commerce. Most recently, Nathan co-founded FreeAppa.com in 2015 with an initial $5,000 investment. He scaled it to $12 million per year in revenue, and then recently was acquired in 2019, which is awesome, and I congratulate Nathan on that. Today, Nathan is a co-founder of OutsourceSchool, which is a company that is working to educate entrepreneurs on how to effectively hire and scale with virtual assistants through in-depth courses that they offer. He's appeared on 300 or more podcasts. He is a social media personality and loves sharing advice on scaling remote businesses. And right now, pretty much we're all remote, so this kind of is a topic of discussion. Nathan, thank you for joining me again on the HMBT podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome that you're back again, and you've had a wild ride over the last few months. It's funny as I saw your other company was acquired on LinkedIn, and it's great. And now people think that, hey, whatever successes I had in the past don't matter now. I need to reinvent myself. I need to think differently because of what's going on. There's probably a bunch of different camps with businesses and entrepreneurs. Some are hunkering down, some are going out of business, and some are thriving. And what I wanted to do is bring you on today. And I guess one of the first things I want to ask you about is, our company's hiring right now, because we're hearing about all these people going on unemployment and the employment numbers are staggering. But do you find, or have you been hearing that companies are still actually hiring?
Yeah, I mean, so we sold FreeAppa to these two awesome entrepreneurs, David Martin and Mark Hargrove. And I'm in touch with the internal team of the FreeAppa. I love them. I have a great relationship with them. And I was just talking to one of them yesterday, and they said, hey, tickets in the past week have been up. People are putting in requests. So, I mean, every business is different. I think there was let's take e-commerce, for example. There was a month where Amazon wouldn't let anyone ship non-essential products. And so a lot of the Amazon sellers were devastated. They had their heart and soul into their business. And now Amazon's lifted a lot of those restrictions. So it's a little bit more back to normal. So they're back hiring again. And I think there's other people like marketing agencies, software companies that weren't as affected as bad as, let's say, my local gym down the street that really can't do business right now. So everyone's different. I don't think that across the board, just no one is hiring. I think there are opportunities out there if your business is doing well for you to really pick up players that really weren't on the market before. And I had an interesting conversation with someone who said, like, before this whole Corona thing, we were kind of in this interesting spot where it was way more like pro freelancer, only because everyone was hiring. The economy was doing well. All these clients were looking for talent. So freelancers could increase rates. There was a lot more demand than there were supply. And now it's kind of flip-flop where there's a lot more people looking for work than there are hiring. So the people that are hiring can make better hires, that it becomes a little bit more affordable, and that'll change over time as well. But if you are a business right now, and I'm just launching my new venture, OutsourceSchool, I just hired a bunch of people for it. And there are opportunities to get really good people. I won't say to lowball them because I don't believe in that, but at good rates or maybe rates slightly lower than what you would have gotten 6 months ago.
And I'm on the board for a local chapter of the American Marketing Association, and we have a job board. We do a job fair once a year, and we have a group that meets for marketers in transition. I've found that there's still marketing positions. A lot of times you think in a down economy, marketing teams or the marketing budget is one of the first things to go. But I'm pretty happy to see that there are some companies hiring marketing directors, marketing managers, and creatives, which is awesome. That leads me to believe that we're going to get through this as long as, we put in the work and we're positive, as business owners. If you're an entrepreneur or if you're a leader, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's just, what are you doing right now to adapt to the new economy we're in? And you started talking about, you're hiring and I see positions open. I think a lot of companies are struggling to say, well, maybe I can't hire right now because I don't know how to do it virtually, or they're just thinking about we need to have those in-person interviews and we don't know what we need to be doing. What advice could you offer if I was an organization or I was a small business that, I had a brick and mortar and I used to have people come in and interview in person, sit down in a chair across from me and I'd read their resume, ask them some questions, look at their body language and make a decision based on that to, hey, now I need to use Zoom or Skype or something else. What are some things that we could talk about to help folks out if they said, you know what, I really do need some help right now, but I just don't know how to interview virtually?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. If you're in an office, you really have one communication channel, right? You're talking to someone in person, you're doing it in the conference room, you're doing it at someone's desk. When you're working remote, you actually have multiple communication channels, and each communication channel is used for a specific thing. And the way that you have high level of communication is everyone on your team knows exactly what channel to use for each thing. And I'll give you an example. So I had a team of VAs at FreeAppa. We had 35 people and we had 3 channels. It was email, Slack, and Viber. So email was for responses within a business day. I think most people are familiar with email, but you don't want to use email to have meetings. You don't want to use email for important, urgent stuff. That's stuff to, hey, get back to me within 24 hours. Slack is for day-to-day communication. When you're working, you're on Slack. When we're in a meeting, we're doing it on Slack. I do a lot more meetings on Slack with VAs than I do via Zoom. That's more of a personal preference. I like to get everything in writing. Also, having 35 people on a Zoom call that are international doesn't always go as smoothly as you would like. But that's what that channel's for. So if someone's working and they're not on Slack, right there, I'm trying to reestablish, hey, when you're working, you have to be there. And then Viber is for emergencies. If my software crashes on the weekend, I don't want to shoot an email over that's not going to get responded till Monday or send a Slack message where they're not even on Slack. I need to be able to send a Viber message, and I don't want to get a response back saying, hey, this person doesn't have Viber on their phone, because I've set the expectation that every single person in the company has to have that as the emergency method. So you can substitute in whatever you like. If you like Zoom, if you like whatever, but have a meeting with your team and say, hey, these are the channels we use. This is how we use each channel, and make corrections. If someone sends you a Viber message at 8 p.m. on a Monday over something that's not urgent, you want to correct them that, hey, that should have been an email. That should have been a Skype, and get people using those channels properly.
Right. And when it comes to actually interviewing before you actually get somebody on board to set those expectations, is there any tips that you can give folks on to how to do their first virtual interview before you even hire someone?
Yeah, I mean, I like to keep, so we teach this in OutsourceSchool, in Cracking the VA Code, our main course on how to do interviews. And we really do it via Slack because we want to use the channel that we use the most. If you do an interview via Zoom and then most of your conversations are on Slack, you're not getting a really good understanding on how they communicate with the main channel that you use. And I've also known, and I'm talking hiring VAs here, which is my world, that there are really good VAs that are just not good on camera. Like my best VA I've ever hired, Chicky Ann, she's a rock star. I'd put her against any VA in the world. Not comfortable on camera. She's a little bit shy. And if I had done an interview with her via camera to start, probably wouldn't have gone over well, wouldn't have hired her. But being on camera just isn't a part of her job. Like, she doesn't have to do that ever. So I think there's some adjustments that need to be made, that the norm of what before isn't what works now. And I think getting everyone to communicate and using the channels that you want and making sure that you're finding people that are good at communicating using those channels is really key.
So I want to back up and unpack this for somebody maybe that is just getting started, or they're a new entrepreneur, all of a sudden this economy challenge hit. So you're saying use the channels maybe you're currently using now so you can reinforce that, or find out which ones would be important to you, or maybe you're just knowledgeable of. In other words, if I just use email and Zoom interviewing is fine. But if you are using Slack, or you plan on using Slack, which you can do video calls, a lot of people don't know that. That is a great way to find out, number one, if people know how to use Slack. And then also, I find it just to be pretty optimized to just simple things. With Zoom, you have the chat feature. You have all these different things that you have to worry about, and it's made for sometimes more than just one or two. I mean, more than two people. Sometimes it's like groups of people. Where Slack, I find that one-on-one call seems a little more intimate. I use that for my one-on-ones, which is pretty cool. And I think, yeah, use tools you have to reinforce them, or the ones you're comfortable with, or do your research. I actually just did a blog post recently about a bunch of tech tools you can use that if you're a leader working remote, or if you are an employee working remote, to stay optimized, to stay efficient, and also to communicate. So take a look at that article if you need to. But yes, Slack, I wouldn't have thought of doing an interview over Slack, but now I can see myself doing that. I think the challenge there would be is if I use Slack as a business and then I was looking to hire someone and they never even knew what Slack was, getting them to install it and all that, where Zoom might be a little bit better because you just send them a link and it automatically installs. And moving to virtual assistants and outsourcing work, and I want to keep this as plain as possible to see what your thoughts are. In this time, in this economy that we're in right now, is it right to outsource or to hire a virtual assistant? And I'm not going to put any parameters around that. I just want to ask it in that fashion.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are realizing right now the downside of having a 40-hour-a-week person that's in your office with the overhead costs. I mean, hiring remote gives you the flexibility. I have a bookkeeper who's $5 an hour that I hire for 5 hours a month, not even 5 hours a week. I have a VA now who's 10 to 20 hours a week. She logs in every morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., helps me clear out my inbox, gives me a head start to every day. And it really gives me that flexibility as an entrepreneur. And yeah, if you're a big company, of course, you might need US employees and all that. But most of the companies that I work with are small, medium sized. They're remote. They're running 24/7, and they can hire VAs for full-time, part-time, even project-based if necessary. And it gives you that flexibility to grow your business. Now, I like to divide it up between 3 different levels of hires. You got followers, you got doers, and you got experts. So followers, $5 to $10 an hour, non-US, they're there to follow your systems, your processes. If you don't have those systems in place, you're going to really struggle to hire those followers. And I think the US as a whole is getting further and further away from hiring US followers, because you can get someone just as good at a lower price who's going to stick around with you longer, rather than hiring a customer service rep for $15 an hour in the US. How long are they really going to be happy at $15 an hour? You're going to have to give them raises over time, and then you have tough decisions to make. Do I overpay for a customer service rep, or do I start over and retrain someone again? Where you hire someone from the Philippines for $5 an hour, they're a rock star, you like them, you increase them to 7, 8, 9, they're going to be with you for years to come. And I'm not a proponent of just taking advantage of people. I had VAs in the Philippines who I was paying 20 plus an hour. When I sold FreeAppa, we took $500,000 from the sale and gave it to our internal team in the Philippines. So you can treat people really well, but hire US people for the doers and the expert roles. The doers are the graphic designers, the video editors, the writers. You're not teaching a graphic designer how to be a graphic designer, but they're not consulting with you either. They're there to do that one skilled task at a really high level, something that you don't know how to do. And then you got the experts, the high-level agencies, consultants, freelancers. They could be $30 an hour. They could be $1,000 an hour. They're bringing their own strategy, their own systems to the table. And what I've seen a lot of is people that have those U.S. employees that are making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. The good entrepreneurs are taking a look at them and saying, hey, you're spending 25% of your time on tasks that are not worth $50,000 a year. Let's get you an assistant for 10 hours a week. That's $5 an hour out of the Philippines. And let's have you focus on higher level stuff. And that's what's going to accelerate sales and growth and revenue.
I like that. And yeah, hiring different levels of people too, or maybe just one. I know somebody locally is a speaker and a consultant, and he has a local VA, or actually just hired a second one pretty recently. And they just do a lot of his calendar, emails, the stuff that you're talking about, and scheduling things. And they only work part-time, and they're not even in his office. They just get stuff done from other places. I love that. What was that? Repeat that again, the types, the 3 types.
Followers, doers, and experts.
Followers, doers, and experts. Love that. I need to outline that in the show notes, because that can pertain to more than just hiring somebody virtually. It's just getting work done with any kind of employee you have. You have those types of people in your organization, I would think, as well. Given that VAs and outsourcing stuff requires the gig economy or what do you want to call that? Freelancers, right? Or virtual assistants. What do you think the future of that is right now? Because let's just say I was somebody that just did work on Fiverr. That might be drying up right now, or theoretically, maybe it could be increasing, but I'm probably worried about my future because maybe I'm uncertain if companies are going to keep outsourcing what they're doing. And maybe they'll, looking back and saying, did I make a mistake becoming an entrepreneur and just doing all these freelance gigs? Am I going to suffer for this? What do you think the future of this is maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the world is already going in the direction of more gig economy, more remote work, more freelancing. And I think this has just kind of accelerated it. I mean, listen, there's no situation that's just absolutely no risk, like your job is secure. I think before all of this, some people looked at, being an entrepreneur is like super risky. If I have a 9-to-5 job, then I'm protected and they have my back. But I mean, it's never been easier to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I've started 3 businesses now with less than $5,000. And I'll never say that there's no risk, but that's about as low risk as you can get starting a business with that amount of money. And all these people that had 9-to-5 jobs that had the security that I didn't have as an entrepreneur, a lot of them are unemployed now, and they're just one thing away from losing their job. And I think what a lot of people are realizing, kind of that in between of going all out to grow the empire to working for someone else, is that freelancing. And the cool thing about the freelancing is you're diversifying your client base. You might have 5, 10, 15, 20 clients, and something happens like Corona and some of your clients can't afford you anymore, but you have other clients that you have that diversified portfolio where the person who's working 9-to-5, if that one employer let's take that local gym down the street, if you're a trainer there, that gym can't do business, you don't have a job, you don't have a backup plan. So there's pros and cons to all of this. There's no perfect solution, but I think a lot of people are realizing that 9-to-5 wasn't as secure as they thought it was.
Right. And this thought I'm about to say is not unique to me. I've heard it in different ways from different people, but I think regardless of if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a freelancer, if you're a leader, a business owner, if you're fearful right now, if you're in fear, you're not going to succeed, right? You're not going to stay with the company you're with and have that security. You're going to fail as an entrepreneur, fail as a freelancer. But if you see this as an opportunity, there's room for growth there. Like you mentioned, hey, let's just pretend I'm somebody who does graphics or video for companies as a freelancer. I shouldn't be reaching out to these gyms, to these dance schools to help them do stuff virtually, help them record video, have better lighting. I can get new customers that maybe I'd never worked with before. You can pivot or find out, hey, this company that's similar to me is going out of business. What is it that they did that they're failing? Where did they make their mistakes? And how can I learn from that and become stronger? I think that if you're hungry right now and you want to learn how you can adapt and then come out of this stronger, you will be successful. But if you're just fearing every moment, where's the next paycheck going to come from? When are my vendors going to pay me? When are my customers going to pay me? Or, hey, I don't know how much longer I can handle this or do this. Like restaurants, they've had to adapt quickly. And I see a lot of them thriving. I had to go out yesterday to pick something up curbside. And I noticed every restaurant or fast food chain had a line at least 10 cars long. They're adapting and they're staying in business because they're doing things. They buy banners. A friend of mine actually just started locally. He's a advertiser. He's developed a company with a designer and they're selling floor decals to social distancing. And I said, well, did you think about adapting afterwards? Because right now, that's probably going to be hot and you'll have business. What are you going to do after? He's like, yeah, we have some ideas for window clings and stuff that are not social distancing related. We're going to see where this goes and maybe adapt to it down the road, which was pretty awesome. But, all this is helpful. And I want to see if you have any last minute thoughts around either, hiring virtual assistants, interviewing, the economy in general, or, talk about, anything that you have, any resources you have that might be available.
Yeah, I mean, I really created OutsourceSchool to teach people how to use virtual assistants. I mean, the truth is nowadays, if you're not using VAs in your business, if you're not looking at every part of your business as turning into a system and delegating it, you're only going to go so far. And your competitors that are using VAs have that huge competitive advantage. And if you ever want to sell your business like I did, you need those systems, you need those processes. You can't be doing everything yourself and it can't be in your head. And so I think that was a big part when the Hoff was doing due diligence on us and they said, hey, how does customer service work? How does billing work? And 5 minutes later, we said, here's a 30-page SOP, step by step. Here's the team that runs it. This is what they do every single day. It runs like clockwork. It runs without me. That's where you should be trying to get your business. And there's no better way to make your day-to-day operations run lean and run affordable and run consistently than hiring virtual assistants and then using people in the US for those higher level tasks.
I think that's great. I love what you started because if I wanted to use a virtual assistant, I wouldn't know where to start. But if I went to OutsourceSchool, I can educate myself. I'm trying to teach myself motion graphics right now. And I'm looking at courses, I'm looking at YouTube videos and trying to teach myself that. I don't know if you've ever used Motion or if you've ever used, any kind of motion graphic software. If you jump in and didn't know anything about it, it's so daunting. You would say, I don't know where to start. I'm just going to give up. I'm going to go and do something else. But if you get some primers and get some information, you can actually go in and do something with OutsourceSchool. Sounds like, it's like you can go in, learn how to work with virtual assistants. This way you succeed rather than hiring somebody and failing, like getting that first person and they don't do what you want because those SOPs weren't there or you didn't have structure around how you did something. You just say, I don't want to have this stuff done for me automatically, right? You're going to fail. But with OutsourceSchool, it sounds like you can learn about how to do all that and run it. Right now, it would probably be a great time to learn how to do that if you want to use a virtual assistant.
Yeah, so we have our main course, Cracking the VA Code, that teaches you our exact process for interviewing, onboarding, training, and managing virtual assistants. And with that, you get a 1-year membership to our school, to OutsourceSchool, and you get all our other mini courses that go with it. So how to use VAs to get on podcasts, how to hire VAs for bookkeeping, how to build a partnership program for virtual assistants. So we're going to continue to come out with specific courses on how to use virtual assistants for things that you might not have thought of, and all that is included in your membership, or you can buy those mini courses separately. So that's really what we're working on, along with some software to VA software. So for example, we have an SOP building software that we're coming out with in the next 30, 60 days that we think are going to help people make even better systems, better processes. So we're excited about all of this.
How do people find you and what preferred methods or channels on socials should we follow you on?
Yeah, so just go to OutsourceSchool.com. You can join our newsletter, check out our products there. I'm pretty easy to contact. Nathan Hirsch on Facebook or LinkedIn, Real Nate Hirsch on Instagram or Twitter.
Awesome. Connect with him. He's great, full of knowledge. I've been connected with him for a while now. It's almost been almost 100 episodes. Wow, that's a long time. But I appreciate you being on earlier, and you gave us a lot of words of wisdom back then, and now I think hopefully what we did is instilled some information into people's mind that, yeah, you can still outsource people. Yes, you can hire remotely. You can have people do work remotely. Use the system and tools that you have in place or develop them. And that goes for hiring virtual assistants as well as real world employees. Nathan, it was a pleasure to have you on today. And you never know, maybe we'll have you on in another 100 episodes, right?
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
All right. If you want to hear previous episodes, head over to hankhoffmeyer.com/Alexa. I'm also on iTunes. I am on the Google Play Store, Spotify, and other channels that you can find podcasts on. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel. I'm actually recording video today, and I'll drop that on YouTube. This way you can see our faces, which will be awesome. And I'm doing a limited series of Hang with Hank, which are Facebook and YouTube live series with information that can help you get through these challenging times. Until next week, folks, happy marketing.